875 grammer and stuff. It was like, I hate to say it, like a little plucked chicken. And then literally when I picked up the leg and started working with her, it's like she filled it
That was
with,
so
it just
fascinating.
plumped out.
So at least when we took him home from the NICU at 8 days old, he was like this skinny, like so skinny. He was only 4 pounds, 3 ounces. By the day 3 at home, he was just like kind
Yeah.
of what you're saying. I never really knew that.
But I think that's where
He was
again,
what, sorry?
that
He plumped up. And in his photos in his first days at home, like once he was home, he's just like this plump little guy. Whereas in the NICU, he was just like,
skinny
the
bone.
nurse called him scrawny when he first came out, which my husband almost killed her.
Oh, that's what I'm saying, that's a great
Yeah, that's
bonding experience, yeah.
Yeah. But he was very, very, very skinny.
But that's where I still, like I said, I really want to, I'm gonna try and whip it up for the Harvard paper and stuff, but I really think there's something to the whole buoyancy thing. And that's what I'm gonna do now. So I'm going to work with Enrique's chest cavity. I'm gonna bring in a couple of things I was doing with the breathing, but just to start off, I just want you to feel whether it's hands-on this way, but don't, again, bear weight. I don't know if it helps. Does it help me working on the ball too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was really
So,
great.
if I can- So again, for level of touch, just to see breath and tempo, you see, it's not, I'm not doing this. I'm not trying to change the mechanisms. So, yeah, see, this is where I like the 3 partners. The second you start talking and they can't see it, they get curious and it interrupts with their movement.
That's the penalty for jumping on the table.
There you go, Enrique, it's your fault.
Nikki picked, I'm sorry, can I make a comment about, Nikki picked Camila up and could feel like she, what did she say?
She was, instead of just being kind of stiff and hard to hold, she molded into her and she was much easier to hold and carry and, yeah.
Kind of like that.
Cool.
Feeling
Yeah.
out
Mhm.
process.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing here now, it looks like the same move, but in this case, it's a little bit of a squeeze. What I'm doing is, my intent is now is to inflate the upper chest.
Squeeze.
So, meaning that I'm here, and when I'm doing this, see, I'm just adding a little bit. See how the air transfers over to the counter of that. And if you're not sure too, by all means, play with the ball. So I'm not doing this, I'm not squeezing when I say squeeze. So that's where it's hard to use certain words, and it's sort of like saying trauma, what's trauma?
But you're seesawing the hands too? I mean,
So
like
I've
you're
got my-
squeezing more the right.
Got my mayonnaise, but this time it's got a little bit of squeeze to it, and at the same time too, I'm spinning with both hands, and they're going with counterclockwise, and I'm again, but see, I'm not just moving in this way. So if I move this way, I'm going to get more of the lower chest and the diaphragm. Correct, Enrique?
Yes.
So if I do a light squeeze, but see how, there we go. Then I go for his upper chest cavity, and now
You're a
he's got
miracle
his.
worker. What
What?
am I gonna say? You're a miracle worker. I don't know. I just had to say that. Don't let me interrupt.
Can you feel that more in the upper chest
That was
cavity?
amazing.
Now, even though he's like this, with his arms like this, he's still getting that sensation of the air going into the upper lungs. But see how it's like a slow-mo CPR. I'm not pulsing, I'm just lightly squeezing. Now that he's getting into it, you can see more in the chest cavity. Now, if you can trouble me with the, actually, Donna, or the yellow ball, please. Just to give you input here. So if you want, excuse me, just put it in between the arms. If you find that someone is a bit too either chesty, too big, too fat, however you want to do it, this would be the other variation of that. And see, now it'll actually show up in the ball a little bit. And that might give that person a little bit more, especially if they're in the hospital and they're going into a collapse stage. Speaking of collapse, this is a really nice exercise too, even if the lung is collapsed or partially collapsed. because you're still giving the sensation of breathing. But what this thumb is doing is I'm coming in right along the spinal cord. So this is where too, he's learning a bit better back breathing as I'm releasing.
Are you doing it with his breath or not necessarily?
You can, I don't want you to get used to doing it with his breath because working on Enrique, he is a nice tempo.
Yeah.
But Solis, you'll never be able to work with his breath because if you were working with a kid like a baby, you'd be like this. And it would
It's
look
too
more
fast.
like CPR. So even though they breathe that way, still allow, again, the tempo is, if I was saying, now look to the right, look to the left, kind of thing. That should be, Because if you have a steady play and all, this gives their body more of a chance to regulate. Versus, notice especially with this, I'm not all over the place.
So are you working one thumb above the spine and one thumb under the spine? Is that
Yeah, but I'm not going in for compression.
right?
This hand is just literally
Rotating.
rotating. It's this one that I'm doing that squeeze.
Okay.
And see, now that he's into it, I can move up a bit more and allow him that expansion of the chest. There, you really can start to see now that he's getting into it. See, now he needs me in the ocean with him, while someone else is pulling his ears.
And twisting him around the legs.
Well, if I hear that a man in Spain suffered drowning, I'll know it's Enrique and I can pleasantly say he died doing what he loves best, where everyone else would be like, oh my gosh, this old man couldn't handle the waves. He's never gonna live this far down, sorry.
It would be.
So now with that, I'm gonna just add in, just for you to get used to that feeling, what I was doing underneath with camps. So now with this one, I really do get low. I meant it. When I worked on Cupcake, I laid long on my belly just to do this.
Can I just move that around?
Sure. So now with this one, I'm just lightly with my fingers. Get into the part where you're at the lower rib cage with your left hand. God, I thought that ball suddenly lit up. I was like, what the heck? It was a flash reflection. And do you feel that, Enrique? How you're breathing into my hands? And once again, that you find that nice little tempo, because half of this is your learning as well as what you're doing for your client. You're gonna come below the spine, and now you're gonna go same, up. Now notice I'm not, when I'm doing this, it's not this. This is here for feedback, the top finger. The thumb lifts and so do the bottom fingers. When I find a nice place, I leave the thumb on my right hand alone, and I'm gonna drop down the ribs into my hand, and then slowly in a separate action bring down that spine.
Did you do it coming out?
I did it with cams.
Yeah.
I did a similar thing with Solis. See, I'm going to drop down those fingers and see how. That's neat, huh? Enrique? Let's see if he snores better than Bruce. So now what I'm going to do is to add with this, which is a bit more what I did with Solis again. So Stuart, if you humor me, don't worry about the ball, but I want you to just start working with Enrique's feet, please. Excuse me. So as I am going up, and I'll tell you, please apply a little bit of pressure, just like you were doing with Solis a little bit. Yeah. And now I'm going to start releasing, and Enrique, just you lightly move into Stuart's hands.
So as you are bringing him down to the ground, when you release, he's coming to.
Yep. So please push in. So now I'm bringing, look at the difference. There he goes. Just that little movement. He likes, and now I'm going to release. So I'm releasing now, leaving the right hand alone. Dropping down the rib cage first, and now I'm going bringing the spine down. Do you see how subtle that is? Can you feel that? Is it reflecting what you were learning with Solis?
Yeah.
Now, again, I have the yellow ball there. Feel free. You do not need the, wrapped in balls.
When you go up, you go at the same time.
Only the four fingers and the other thumb are going up.
And on the way down, it's the ribs. And then
Ribs first, melt into my hands. Now, this is a little unclear for him. You feel the difference, Enrique?
Michelle, your thumb on your right hand is a lot above or below the...
Below the spine.
Okay.
So literally, I'm going same. So I'm lifting the spinal column, even if it's the sensation of the lift. I'm lifting, and then I'm allowing him to just lightly, notice his hand stays the same, just lightly allowing him to melt into the lower hand, just the rib cage to elongate, and then I'm bringing the spine down.
And then as you are doing it, you're asking to come to.
So as I'm lifting, I ask for a little bit of pressure going into his foot, and then as I'm releasing, he's doing this. So now watch the difference. If I go here, meaning lower rib cage, so applying pressure, it's quite clear for Enrique. See, he gets a lot of power here. And so now as he's releasing, so just watch, now just let the rib cage go. And then here I'm dropping down the spine now, right? So, but if I go here, it's not as it's getting better, but it's not as clear right there. That going in, and then see I'm bringing. See the drop is not, and then coming down. I mean minor stuff, but you can tell. I can tell he knows he feels a difference. So I'd like you to split up on that now. Sorry, before you leave, going back to this original move. I would like you to just, the first person who's on the back, to try this movement, right? But now, as I'm doing it now, see how again, the difference now, Enrique, now you don't necessarily have to push back, but, and then as that person's coming back out and feeling that, to allow that breath really to go through the body and that power. Because you should be able to move and breathe, as you know, in all different directions, whether it's yoga, tennis, and so forth, as well as the kids. And you really saw that with Solis, where he was putting his feet into the ground and moving around. But you see how, what?
He loved that.
Yeah. But you see how nice that feels? Can you feel almost the breathing of the foot?
Yeah.
Now, if you want now, Enrique, now to lightly give Stuart pressure.
Pressure again.
Yeah. Now see, there was a little bit of staccato in the ribs, and that's where you get nice and sensitive.
So the original move, would you mind saying about it again? What you're going.
So just like I showed on the ball and stuff, so I'm looking to inflate the upper rib cage, so I'm just going in. So it's not a squeeze,
Right.
but I'm just,
Over here, your thumb is above the spine.
yes, above the spine.
And your
Most
other
of
hand
the
is
action is
just-
through here. It's for guidance, but there'll be a little bit of, but it's not, it's much more that I'm doing this from this hand. Also, this gives him something to come back into, especially if he's applying pressure. You'll feel if someone's using way more of their back versus it just being a sequenced event. So let's start with that, break off in groups.
Breathe.
Do you think maybe it's a good idea that you come and touch us and then we practice, so we feel your touch on our body and then I can say, oh, feels like Michelle was doing a little,
I can do that for those who want it, sure.
I want to, I don't feel it.
So just let him feel what that's like.
Please was not getting out of the
See, just from that little bit of variations that he's doing.
It's that guy thing again.
But this is where he's fun, because it's like, so is he evaluating the inner ear still going up and down, or is he
Yeah.
just more with the eyeballs
Yeah,
and compared to his navel that goes off to the side? I mean, yeah. So then he'll just,
Very available on the
Yeah.
other side and complete this cycle.
yeah. But now when you do it, feel as if when you're coming over here, feel the air come into your lungs, sort of like it's just rising you to come around. Now that's how to hit water,